Are you ready to trade in that slave for a new or pre-owned ride? Well, come on down to Dream Motors to find your car of your dreams. Are you ready to trade in that slave for a new or pre-owned ride? Well, come on down to Dream Motors to find your car of your dreams. Are you ready to trade in that slave for a new or pre-owned ride? Well, come on down to Dream Motors to find your car of your dreams.
Oh!
Are you ready to trade in that sleigh for a new or pre-owned ride? Well, come on down to Dream Motors to find your car of your dreams.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's working? I hope. We've got the backup Zoom.
We want to have
Yeah, true. I'll start the regular meeting of the City Council for December 1st, 2021 to order. We haven't seen Don, well, he's in Zoom, but not here. Let's have him lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Because I would have turned around and looked that way.
Thank you. On the agenda, minutes, group minutes.
I move to approve November 3rd and 4th.
Second.
Been moved by Bill, seconded by Russ. Any discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called for to approve the November 3rd, 2021 regular meeting minutes and the November 4th, 2021 special meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous. Okay, next item would be petitions, communications. We have Kevin. I forgot to put him on the agenda. It still could be ministerial though, because there's no votes. This is just the status of the project. And I also sent the stuff, and I got it before or after I put out the packet, or please put out the packet. So I've handed those all out. That's so you guys can read along. Kevin Johnson, if you want, check to make sure there's a yellow light on that. There's a switch right on
It's
the
push.
top.
It's a push.
Looks like
It's on, it's on.
Can you hear me okay right here?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Kevin Johnson, I'm the Dow manager, the project manager for Dow. Good to see you all again this month. I'm back for just a monthly update. So I'll kind of walk through the various schedules that are in process here and kind of tell you where we think things are headed here in the next month before things turn off. So starting with Schedule 2, that's the water distribution system replacements up and down Washington and Idaho. That work had stopped last month when I was here, and they were trying to get paved with everything that had been torn up. They didn't quite make it. Despite the nice weather, they didn't want to tear up any more prep for the asphalt for fear of it getting too cold to actually pave. It's supposed to be 40 degrees and rising when they're paving. So they stopped. They did not finish 2 blocks of Washington and the service lines pretty much on all of Washington. So that has been brought to gravel all the way to the surface. The contractor will be obligated to maintain that through the winter and keep it drivable and safe. So they'll resume that work as soon as they can. The deciding factor of when they continue work on the distribution work is really when they can have temporary water lines laid above ground and they won't freeze. Other than that, they'll get out there as soon as they can to resume work. Schedule 1 is the water transmission main across from the river. It was a very productive month. They pretty much put in just about probably 80% of that pipeline in the last month. It was all fused together last time I was here. They pretty much have installed everything except none of the horizontal jack and bores under the interstate, the river, and Pigtail Creek are installed. So they've laid up to either side of those and they're waiting for those bores to get done. Still, none of them are done. They've set the rails for the boring machine in the first bore pit that'll push the pipe underneath the interstate. Those are in place. They expect to be boring. They said they're going to have 50 feet in by Friday. out of 400 feet or whatever it is across there. So they'll do that one, they'll move to Pigtail Creek, that's only like 60 feet underneath the creek there, and then eventually to the Beaverhead River. So that's the driver at this point, that's pretty much critical path to get those bores in place. Then they have to assemble the pipe, pull it underneath through the casings, get them connected on both sides, and then start testing. They'll start pushing water from town that direction, flush the pipeline, pressure test it, then fill it with chlorine, and then pull back T-tests until all that's done, and the back T-tests come up acceptable. That section is not ready and approved for potable use. And then they'll push the next section of water over to about where the property boundary is with herb property, and the Wheats property is the next valve. That's the next section. The last section is from there across the river up to the tie-in point by the chlorination facility. So that all has to happen basically in about the next month. And the driver right now is just getting those bores completed. Mungus has backed up to do some service connections over in the fairgrounds property, and they'll do the same on the Harris Wheat property where there's a number of long service lines that are part of the project. They're still not tied in the fairgrounds. One of the two transmission pipelines are tied in. The second one is not, because they've been waiting on a fitting for like 4 months that hadn't showed up. So that is supposed to be delivered in Butte like tomorrow. And so they are tentatively scheduled to do the second tie-in in the fairgrounds to the north transmission main on Friday. So at that point, they can then have connection to the system that they can push water for flushing and testing purposes as soon as they have the bores done. So that's kind of where everything is at with the transmission main. They need to work until it's done. As far as weather and winter goes, most of the pipeline is in, most of the digging is really done, and except for the pretty large excavations and dewatering exercise for the jack and bore pits. So they can tolerate some really pretty cold weather at this point. They'll have to, when they have to flush water out, that will make an ice pond. They gotta be careful about that. But as far as being able to test and things, they can heat, a small area where they've got a pump connected to it to get the pressure up to the test pressure. So it's all manageable. So from the conditions that we expected to see out on, across those fields, is just much better than we expected. Whether that had anything to do with the dry year, I really don't know. We expected groundwater to be, 2 feet deep out there. It really wasn't. They kind of moved in and out of water, but they were able to handle it just with pumps in the trench versus having to punch, dewatering wells all the way down the pipeline, which we see commonly necessary. So that's what I expected to have to happen, but they didn't need to do any of that. So they were able to put a lot of pipe in a hurry. It's 7,800 feet total, and they're probably 6,800 at this point, less the bores. So very productive month in that regard. I think I mentioned last time we were here, they're behind schedule. No question they're behind schedule. We started July 26th, so we've had August, September, October, November, 4 months out of a 6-month contract time. They have, I think, 11 blocks, or 13 blocks out of 22 left to do for the distribution system replacements, plus Idaho Street. So they're gonna be lucky to have 30 days of calendar day contract time left by the time they're done with the transmission main. We'll stop the clock. That'll resume come spring as soon as they can start, but there's no feasible way they are going to finish within contract time. So we sent Mungus a letter, just kind of recapped, when they started, acknowledged the delays in getting materials and things like that, but it's really in their court. I told them, focus on the transmission main. As soon as you're done with that, it's going to be time to sit down and talk about where you're at contract time. Once they're at 181 days, they start getting assessed $1,000 a day for liquidated damages until the contract, or unless the contract is modified to give them more time. So we will put it in their court to build a case, to ask for more contract time. And it'll be up to the city to decide how we want to handle that. From our perspective, so the city has a contract with Dowell, and then the city has a contract with Mungus, the contractor. We don't have a contract with Mungus. So it's two different scopes of services and agreements. So our agreement is set up for that 180 days. So when we start getting close to that, we gotta let you know, it's like, look, hey, if we're gonna be here, we're gonna be incurring additional costs. And that's partially what the liquidated damages are for, to cover those additional costs, but there are other soft costs that the city incurs as far as staff time and disruption and whatever. So we're just gonna delay that conversation for now, but that is coming. We want their focus to be on getting this transmission there in the ground, getting it live, getting the fields cleaned up, and they will probably have to come back, probably in that March, early April time frame, clean things up. They'll probably do the seeding, next spring. That'll probably work better anyway. Birds can eat an amazing amount of seed that you're expecting to be there, and the wind has a way of blowing it away even when it's drilled sometimes. So that's probably a better plan. They may do some of that restoration this fall, but we'll see. So I noticed. I noticed it's been pretty cold anyway. So I think that's about it. Are there any questions or any issues out here that you've noticed? There is some more cleanup that's going to happen. They've been trying to rent a street sweeping machine, and each time they go to get it, it's broken down, so they're next on the list to get the thing and do some additional cleanup, like down on Orr Street. There's still a lot of kind of loose asphalt, rock, and dust and debris. So they'll get that cleaned up as soon as they get their hands on the equipment that will do the best job for that. So I think all the concrete is done, the sidewalks, curb and gutter, that's all done down here. If there's any issues, we get some water, we get some moisture, and it doesn't freeze, the gravel's gonna get hammered out of the streets, and they're gonna have to take care of it. So let the city know, and let that message get to us one way or the other, and then we'll convey that to Mungus so they can come take care of that. Don't know what to expect.
I do have a question. Thank you for everything you've done. I mean, we just really appreciate all that you've done. But last time, maybe it wasn't the last time you were here, it was the time before, we talked about cleaning the streets before the snow comes. And those of us that live over where you have been replacing the water lines, we've been waiting patiently for 5.5 weeks, and we film it on a daily basis, and we also drive around trying to find somebody working, but I can confidently say that no one has been working in that area for 5.5 weeks, and the streets are still an absolute mess, and it's a health hazard, and in the spring our stormwater runoff drains will be overflowing. It'll just be a big mess. And so, and you're the guys that kind of direct Mungus, so when are the street cleaners going to be here?
Well, as soon as, like I said, as soon as they get their hands on the equipment, they'll be out there to sweep that up. So we put them on notice last week to that effect. But we were referring to the areas where they had just paved. But if it's more extensive than what we might be thinking, we'll make sure
no,
it's cleaned up
it's Idaho Street, Pacific Street, Washington Street, or Reeder. So that whole area, it needs, I have a couple of films I could show you of just a truck driving down those streets. And
it's
what
still
happens.
a dust cloud, yeah. Okay, no, they got plenty of cleanup to do, like you say, before it gets wet, because then it turns into mud and gets that much worse, so. Okay.
Well, and there are several people in that area that are on oxygen and, have had to leave their home for the last 6 months while this great project was going on, but they would like to come home to their homes. And it requires that the streets just be cleaned.
Okay.
And so when is that going to happen?
Next week, I think, or sooner. Yeah, it's gonna be next week now, we're already Thursday tomorrow.
So beginning Monday?
I
The
hope so.
streets are gonna be clean?
I can't commit to that as a contractor's commitment to get his hands on the equipment he needs to do that. So they've been trying, we put them on notice a week and a half ago to that effect.
Kevin, are you happy with the way the asphalt patches have come out?
Yeah, for the most part,
I know some of them are dipping down already.
they shouldn't be dipping down significantly. You know, if there's areas that they had any settlement, they'll have to fix that. There is a tolerance that's allowable on that, so, you know, we'll check all that. You know, there's also a 1-year warranty on that. The settlement usually takes a little while. They did have some areas where we got some rain, you know, naturally like a day before they paved. So we had to take out material, put gravel back in, or they did, and get that paved. But there could be some of it that we'll be watching. It was on Orr. It's in the parking lane of Orr was the area of concern. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. But there's acceptability criteria for all the paving.
I know in the past, our city streets have suffered due to some of the utility work done,
Sure.
and that comes back and haunts us. That's why I was curious.
Yeah.
About something we're gonna have to dome or what was gonna have to happen there.
No, if there's obvious settlement already occurring, it'll need to get taken care of.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Kevin? Thank you, sir.
Okay. I will be around tomorrow for a good chunk of the day, so if anything
Okay.
comes up.
Thank you. Okay, next item, notifications, communications, mayor's report. Looks like we have 4 resolutions. The first one, well, they're all set in public hearings, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I read them that way. They're doing public hearings, and we gotta set, first one is to rezone the one, another way of saying it is down the end of Montana Street, right? Is that
Yes.
the place that this will be?
Yeah, the professional building at the end of
Montana.
Montana Street,
Is what this,
10 East Reader.
I move to approve.
Second.
it's been moved by Raymond, seconded by Russ. Discussion. And again, this is not approving, at least these 4 are not approving the annexation or the zonings. This is just setting up a public hearing, the date and time of a public hearing to allow the people from the public to come and talk, you know, and voice. And then after that, it will be put to a vote here. So this is mainly just setting everything up, just to inform everybody out there.
Call for the question?
Questions being called for to approve the resolution of intent setting the date for a hearing and providing notice for a hearing to adopt a change in the official zoning map on the property located at 10 East Reader from an R2 medium density residential zone to a C3 residential business district zone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous.
Just for clarification, C3 is not a residential, it's strictly business.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
You said residential. something
Business
else.
district.
Yeah.
I thought it said central business. If I said residential, that is correct. It's a central business district, the C3 is. It's coming from an R2, which is a residential. Okay? Next item is the resolution of intent for another change in the official zoning map. This has to do with what they call the potato cellular area. I'll let Todd explain that in a little more detail what that is, or Raymond or Russ, either of them.
It's roughly the area where the old cotton feed buildings are. East Bench, Greenery is there. David Shewitt has some grain bins there. It's that area that runs next to the railroad, basically between Blacktail Creek and the railroad.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Dan, seconded by Russ. Discussion.
All for the question.
Question's been called for to approve a resolution of intent setting a date for hearing and providing notice for a hearing to adopt a change in the official zoning map of the potato cellular area from an unzoned to a C2 zone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take it as unanimous. Next one is consider, these two next ones are annexations. To consider annexation of a wholly surrounded tract of land owned by John Grant, providing for a combined hearing on the question of annexing the wholly surrounded property, zoning the same, and providing a notice of the combined hearing.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Dan, seconded by Diane. Discussion.
So I didn't understand this one. What is the proposed zone?
C2.
C2? So
And this is the property down on Noble Street.
Right.
Yes.
There's two pieces of property. One of them,
It's checkerboard through that area as you, at
Yes.
the end of Noble Street is that, at the intersection of Noble and Ramshorn, that property is in the city. The next house next to it is not in the city, and that's Mr. Grant's property. And then there are some homes that are in the city again, and then there's the property that Mr. Manis owns, excuse me, that he owns, and then it's the little park area that trails pass. Mr. Manis's property is not in the city. So what we're trying to do is fill in the gaps.
Are those places that are in the city, are they zoned?
Yes.
What are they zoned right now?
C2.
And so, and it's to go to a C2 for the whole area?
Yes.
Call for the question.
okay? The question's been called for to approve a resolution stating the intent to consider annexation of a wholly surrounded tract of land owned by John Grant, providing for a combined hearing on the same. Of the question of annexing the whole surrounded property, zoning the same, and providing for notice of the combined hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Take that as unanimous. The last one, number 4, is, what's the other chunk? This is the one there by the Trails Coalition's little park. It's actually our park, but they set it up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Dan, seconded by Russ. Discussion.
Call for the question.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, this is the time. You just come up to the microphone. State your name.
Shannon Manus on that piece of property. Can you just briefly tell me the next steps of what you just went over real quick?
Oh, if this passes tonight,
Right.
then what it'll be is it'll go and we'll set up, we'll notice in the paper next Wednesday and probably the Wednesday
Yeah.
after, right?
2 weeks, yeah.
That there will be a public hearing for people to come and voice. You know, and then at that time, we will then have the public hearing. Anybody can come in and state their pros or cons. And this is not just with yours, but with all of them
Correct.
on here, so we're talking about all. After that, I usually try not to have the meeting after the public hearing. So I usually try to wait till the next meeting. And
Next
that,
city council meeting.
for the next city council meeting.
Okay.
At that point, then it will be on the agenda to approve, like in your case, the annexation and the zoning.
Okay. So that's 2 weeks plus the next meeting?
Yeah.
What's that timeframe?
So it'd be like the next,
It'd be, well, January,
Next.
December 15th is when the hearing is, and then the next council meeting would be January 5th. After that, so,
Okay. And it's the same, C2 is what you're looking at, correct?
yes.
Okay. Do you notify me of all that?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect,
I'll
thank you.
send you a reminder.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Call for the
actually,
question.
just hold off. That's not what the resolution says.
Correct. Maybe that's the fifth.
The resolution says it'll be
Oh, it's on
noticed
the
on
fifth.
December 22nd and December
Okay, so that one's on the
29th.
fifth, yep.
And so the 5th will be the public hearing, so there's a little more time even. So we'll notice in the paper on December 22nd and December 29th, the public hearing. Not have it, just put the notice in the paper. And then on January 5th at 6:45, there will be the public hearing. Yes. And then, I don't know how the new mayor will handle it. But how I handled it, and maybe he'll do the same, it's up to the council and him. It'll be the meeting after, so January 14 plus 5, or 6 plus 5, no, 5.
19th.
So 19th will be the next, that would be the time it'll be up for a vote. So, in January.
Okay.
Now, I had a question, right?
Yep.
Okay, the question has been called for to approve a resolution of intent stating the intent to consider annexation of a wholly surrounded tract of land owned by Shannon and Krista, okay, Manis, providing for a combined hearing on the question of annexing the wholly surrounded property, zoning the same, and providing for notice of the combined hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous. Okay?
Before moving on, we have a situation. If you look behind the resolution for the Reader Street property, for some reason, the notice of public hearing for the Beaver Pride Phase 2 subdivision final plat was stapled to that and did not get on the agenda. But it was in the packet.
Wasn't noticed in the agenda.
I know. All I can say is we gotta put it on the next one, or if you guys want, hold a special council meeting to set it. Notice properly, it won't be this week, it'll be next week. So would you guys be fine with that? Trying to speed it along.
Which, yeah,
They've been very patient with us on this, and I think it's in everyone's best interest to move forward rapidly.
Okay, so we can set it up, the meeting to approve this resolution. I doubt we would have to change, I'll verify we won't have to change, but it'll be back to, one for the Beaver Pride, one would be back to be a voting on. Okay? On, and Monday, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
What time?
9.
you want a noon meeting?
9.
This is a single topic. Do you want, or you don't know if the council want to work in the morning?
Noon's great. Noon's great.
Noon is good for everybody on Tuesday?
Yep.
Good. And that would be December
7.
7th. At 12 o'clock. Okay, and at that time, we'll have a vote on that to make a public hearing. Sorry. Okay. Next items, reports of officers and boards of the city. Library board, Mr. McGinley.
We had a meeting last Tuesday, more or less just pay the bills.
Okay. And I don't see Lori here, so we'll just say that's probably it.
That was about it.
And we'll get the meeting minutes next time, probably. City Attorney, Mr. Goldman.
Thank you. We had a jury trial on the 12th of November. I know we didn't have a council meeting last time, so I'm going to try to play catch up a little bit. That ended in a mistrial. The alternate juror was not sequestered from the other 6 jurors. That's not allowed. So the decision whether to retry that is still pending. This particular individual has other charges pending, so it may be that we do a wraparound and he pleads out. I don't know yet, I haven't made that decision. We've had several bench trials in the last week involving one individual, and there were 3 bench trials. One resulted in a conviction, the other resulted in an acquittal, and the third one was adjourned because some procedural issues were raised regarding a defense, and so I expect that to be addressed this month. Other than that, the criminal work is proceeding normally upstairs. With regard to the city-county case, the city will need to choose an expert witness by December 7th, 2021. I moved to extend that date already because we had several city staff out with illness. It's just really hard to get work done when you don't have people and aren't able to communicate with some folks. So we're going to remedy that this week. We are currently working up some responses to some discovery requests in that case from the county. So we'll be working with the mayor and others in terms of getting that response out during the month of December. And we'll be serving the county with a reciprocal request for discovery as well, and that's another thing that will have to be worked up. I've also prepared the annual letter, and I know our auditors are the Maddox firm, and I prepared a letter today and provided it to Jamie Olson with regard to any contingent liabilities or cases pending, and there were none that fit the definition. It was brought to my attention today that members of the 406 Coalition want to approach the city about the marijuana issue. I'm going to take a moment to remind that really all the city does at this point is just provide a forum, and it's up to the citizens to decide whether they want to allow that as recreational sale or not, and that's not an issue we really can get involved in politically anyway. So I just want to make that clear. This last bit is going to be either a, I don't know, lump of coal or maybe an early Christmas present. So this is meeting 191 that I've, at least by my count, and the mayor's the expert on math, I'm not, that I've attended. But after nearly 200 of these meetings the last 8 years, I want to inform the council and the mayor that I'm resigning from my position as city attorney effective December 31st, 2021. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for the opportunity to serve in this capacity for the past 8 years. And frankly, in addition to the previous 5 years that I served as deputy city attorney. However, after due consideration of a variety of factors and an unexpected opportunity, I've chosen to accept that opportunity following 13 years of collective public service to the city of Dillon. And I think, you know, it was a lot of factors went into this decision. It wasn't one I made lightly. But I think that as the city is also between mayoral administrations, it almost seems like a fitting time to make that change. And because we are going to have some turnover in staff, and that's maybe the appropriate time. Lastly, I've selected Friday, December 31st, 2021 as the departure date to permit ample time for addressing the vacancy. We, as you heard a moment ago, have lots of things coming up in December that are going to need the attention of the office upstairs. But it also allows the time, I think, to facilitate discussion between the Mayor-elect McGinley and the Council President Don Hand concerning the transition plan for the office. I do have lots of ideas on strategies that may work in terms of the short term while you sort these things out. And I do expect that, you know, there will be need to appoint alternate counsel following my departure so that these matters are timely addressed and dealt with. As I said, I don't make this decision lightly, but it's just time. It's just time to do something else. It's nearly 10 years, 13 years collectively. It's time for me to do something else. And so, in conclusion, I want to wish the city of Dillon continued success. And I'm proud to have shaped, or played a very small role, I think, in shaping the history of this municipality. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Planning Board, Mr. Hand.
In your packet are the long lost minutes. Ask for your acceptance.
Move to accept.
Second. It's been moved by Russ, seconded by Dan. Discussion. That's all four of them, right?
Correct. As you can see, we've spent quite a bit on Beaver Pride, answering some various questions from the public, and just trying to keep things kind of going along here. So, if there's any specific questions, I'll be glad to try to field them at this time.
Question's been called for to accept the August 26, 2021, the September 9, 2021, the October 7, 2021, and the November 4, 2021 meeting minutes of the Planning Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And take that as unanimous.
That completes my report.
Thank you. Next item, zoning commission. Nah, it's been so long, I don't remember who I called last time, so. One of you two jump
This is an
in.
easy one.
You wanna do it?
We'll find our zoning commission meeting for October 26, 2021. I call for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Dan, seconded by Diane. Discussion. Question's been called for to accept the October 26, 2021 meeting minutes of the zoning commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous.
Well, as you can see, we've been going over the zoning book, trying to make things make a little bit more sense and changing things and clarifying things, and so we've moved to make a lot of changes in right now we're going over the use chart. So we're just going over and trying to make sure everything in the use chart has a definition that makes sense. So we're renewing the definition out of our prior book and changing what needs to be changed, and then that'll be another year-long process, I'm sure. We ain't halfway through yet, there's a lot of definitions, so. Other than that, I will take your questions if there's any. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Director of Operations, Mr. Hazelbaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of things. I'd like to thank the University of Montana Western for the use of their lift truck to put up the Christmas lights this morning. They're always very Chancellor, Mike Brown, as well as Mike Reed, the Chancellor, Joe Chip. Have always been great to work with, and so I appreciate them allowing us to use their truck. And then also with that, Nick and Mike getting up early and putting up the lights. Mr. Hager doesn't like heights very well, but he's willing to climb up into the bucket and have us drive him around, so he's a brave young man.
He's the lightest of the two.
The lightest of the three, yes. And then also, just kind of a shout out to Jason Johnson that as you all know, we've had some health issues through the last month. and Jason and everybody really stepped up to keep us going, helping in the different areas, being at the cemetery, parks, water, street. Guys really deserve a big thank you for all their hard work, for stepping up and helping each other. We're all back except Nick. Nick could check. Still home with some breathing issues, but we hope to get back sometime next week. But we're not encouraging him a lot, really, because his health's more important. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Police Department, Chief Gaverson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, I would like to thank Jim Dolan for all he's done for the city. I'm shocked for him to take a leaving, but I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure you'll do well. With that, I don't have a report. I will have my report for October, November. We're kind of falling over ourselves with the police department right now. We're in the process of hiring our liaison. And so we're right in the middle of that. That should be squared up. His rank back up to the JP position. So Jeremy's doing really well at it. I told him I was just going to maybe hire him for it. He was not happy about that. So maybe I won't. But with that, any questions, comments? I'd be more than happy to answer.
Well, thank you, Jim. Sorry. Or should I say no offense, Jim?
I was thinking that probably be more appropriate. Yeah.
Is it Jim Giverson or Don Dolan?
Okay, Fire Chief, BJ Closey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your packet, I will ask for approval of the city clerk report for Fire Hall for October 2021. Approve the budget versus expenditures for Fire Hall for October 2021. And approve the October 21 status report.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Diane, seconded by Russ. Discussion?
I've always just wondered this, how does a vehicle get stuck on the railroad tracks? I mean, it's a nightmare, but.
There was
yeah.
snow, it was early in the morning, a lot of snow. He thought he was turning into the campground at Barrett's and turned onto the railroad tracks. Tried to back up, got sideways, diagonal across it. And it was going to be hours before the tow truck could go to him, so we pulled out one of the big water tenders.
I know that area pretty well. So he turned before the mailboxes and just got stuck right there.
Yeah, we see all kinds of specials.
Nothing about that screamed railroad apparently.
So is it at night or in the morning?
It was first thing in the morning. When we had
So
that,
he was sober probably too.
yeah, exactly. When we had that, I don't know, it was 6-8 inches of snow that morning.
Okay.
Call for the question. Or,
Is there a motion?
Second.
that's a call for the question.
Okay, question ready?
Call for the question.
Okay, question's been approved or been asked for the approve the city clerk report for Fire Hall for, Jim threw me off. For the Fire Hall for October 2021, the budget versus expenditure for Fire Hall October 2021, and the October 2021 status report for the fire department. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take it as unanimous. Any questions?
Should be it.
Got it covered. Any questions for me? Again. I don't see the judge out here. City treasurer, Ms. Kipp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your package, you have the summary for the cash summary report for October 2021, the cash bank reconciliation report for October 2021, and the collateral report for the software bank for the same time period. And ask for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Bill, seconded by Russ. Discussion.
The comprehensive liability in a negative, what was that again, please? Why is that in a
It
negative?
has to be paid early in the year, the whole amount, and then we just have to catch it up later. Is that not correct?
Yeah, the reason is council liability is totally paid for by taxes, but you gotta pay it in July, when your first tax comes in December, or November, December timeframe. And then the other half of it comes in May, June. And so May, June timeframe will be in the plus for a couple months, and then it's down again.
Their fiscal year begins in July, so that's what.
Yeah, I knew there was something there, I just didn't remember what it was.
And that's the only one you'll notice, but the reason that it's a funny thing is the taxes, if I remember right, it's 120, somewhere in there, wasn't it? I don't remember the exact numbers without looking at the budget book, so don't go running off and quoting, but the kicker is you can't go over 50% for taxes, but we would have to go 100% or to not go negative at any time, you would have to have 120, let's say it was 120,000 in the bank, well then I couldn't tax by law.
Ah.
So it's just like, it's at some point, there's no way you can do any of this following all the laws. And so this is I think that's why I'm letting it do this, is it's the least harmful. Is we'll just keep it up. I mean, we'll tax what we need to tax. We also take a little extra just in case somebody doesn't pay. So it's not like I'm taking exactly amount for the tax. So we take a little bit above it just to make sure we have enough to make the payment, or it will come in, for the next. But, so it's always gonna be negative. I don't know if they intentionally did it that way, but okay.
So it's basically just a bookkeeping venture, lack of a better term.
Yeah, and it has to do with our fiscal year beginning in, yeah.
And most time with taxes, not to take any extra time, but you would get taxes in November and or December and May and June. Well, but you'd pay like a small amount every month. And so you would have enough built up. That's where the 50%, because they think you can hold over 50% and make the payments until the taxes come in. And then you'll have some more money to make another 50%. And at that point, you'll have the rest for a total of 100, but you had it set up. But this way, it doesn't allow that because you got to have the full amount. And it's paid in July in a full amount. So there's no way around the partial payments every month. That's why there's no way I could figure out to do it. I won't say anything more, I'll shut up.
Call for the question.
Okay, question's been called for to approve the cash settlement report for October 2021, the cash bank reconciliation report for October 2021, and the collateral report for the Stockman Bank for October 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous. Anything else, Ms. Kip or Karen? No? Okay, I'm taking it she's done. Okay, next item, tree board. No minutes? Or are these?
I turned in minutes. I gave it to, yeah, we did meet, but we meet again this next week.
Okay, and we'll get it in next meeting. If there's one that we missed, we'll get it in the next meeting.
Yeah, I turned it in at the last meeting.
Okay. Board of Adjustments. See some minutes out here. Dan,
Before you have the Board of Adjustment meeting minutes for April 22nd. Ask for your acceptance.
Move to accept.
Second.
Been moved for acceptance from Bill, seconded by Russ. Discussion.
Just clarification, I guess, on my ignorance. But subsection 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. Those should be 4 and 5. The findings of fact that are numbered through 7, which we don't see, is truly all part of 3. So I believe 6 should be 4, 7 should be a 5.
You're right, this should be 4 and then 5.
We knew that, but we were just testing you.
We knew we passed.
Good job, Russ.
And as usual, you passed the fine.
Okay. Call for the question. As amended.
Question was called for to accept the April 22nd, 2021 meeting minutes of Board of Adjustments as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Take that as unanimous. No, there's something, no, there's no vote, no, we gotta do. This is just for their information. Okay, now we'll go, reports of standing committees of City Council, Judiciary, Mr. Nye.
No meeting, no report.
Finance Committee, Mr. Hand.
Wish I could do that quick. Okay, in your package you'll find our minutes from November 24th. I ask for your acceptance.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Dan, seconded by Diane. Discussion.
This is kind of an oddball, and we had one member out with COVID. One member couldn't show up until way late in the afternoon. And the other member was very timely coming in. Thank you, Russ. So we've kind of signed all these off in random order, for lack of a better term. I believe we got all the things handled. I guess I'll call for the question.
Questions we called for to approve the November 24th, 2021 committee meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Take it as unanimous.
I also ask you to approve the line item budget summary for November 2021, approve the fund summary for claims for November 2021, the claims by vendor report for November 2021, and approve the budget versus actual report for November 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Diane, seconded by Bill. How's that? Discussion.
Call for the question.
Questions been called for to approve the line item budget report for November 2021, the fund summary for claims for November 2021, the claims by vendor report for November 2021, the budget versus actual report for November 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Take that as unanimous. Anything else, Don?
We will be meeting yet this month to pay the final bills for the year, just not for the budgetary year. That completes my report.
Okay, next, fire and order, Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah, I asked for your approval on the October 25th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Dan, seconded by Russ. Discussion.
Call for the question.
Questions been called for to approve the October 25th, 2021 meeting minutes of the Fire and Order Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Take it as unanimous. And there was no action item from it, so. Anything else?
Nope.
And yeah. Health and Welfare, Mr. McGinley.
We had a meeting, minutes did get into the packet.
Will be in the next one.
We'll do the next one. More or less just got a report from the city nurse.
Thank you. Cemetery Committee, Ms. Armstrong.
No meeting, no report.
And yeah. Parks Committee, Ms. O'Rourke.
No meeting, no report.
City Health Committee, Mr. Graham.
No meeting, no report. We will be having a meeting here in a couple weeks, so.
Yeah. Street and Alley Committee, Mr. Nye.
Before you, you have the minutes for November 1st. Ask for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Bill, seconded by Russ. Discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called for to approve the November 1st, 2021 meeting minutes of the Street and Alley Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous. Anything else?
We will be having a meeting on December 6th,
Monday.
2 o'clock.
I'll get into that in a little bit. Water and Sewer Committee, Mr. Hammond.
I believe we had a meeting about seeing, I'll say no meeting, no report.
Okay. ARPA Committee, Mr. McKinley.
Asked, before you, a couple meetings of minutes, I asked for your approval. Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Bill, seconded by Dan. Discussion?
Looks like there's some good discussion coming out of these meetings anyway, John.
There's some good ones. More or less, we only have half the money, so we kind of postpone any more meetings until spring when we know we might get the other half of our money before we start doling it out.
I like the idea there's some different ideas bouncing around, what we may have had from the council.
Call for the question.
Question's been called for to approve the November 1st, 2021 meeting minutes and the November 10th, 2021 meeting minutes of the ARPA Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I take that as unanimous. Anything else on the committee?
Nothing else?
Okay. Now I got one I also handed out. It's not really a vote, kind of, I suppose it kind of might be, but it's more, I want to make sure on all the committees that we're not going to miss any or what I'll recommend. So, like was said, I have items to be put on the street and alley, and so my recommendation is to have the street and alley meeting, and it'll be December 6th, which is Monday, and this is the time.
4 o'clock, please.
You want 4?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Everybody? And the street and alley is Dan, Don, and Russ. Can you all three of you make the 4 o'clock?
Yep.
And Don?
Yeah, that'd be better for me too.
Okay,
Yeah.
4 o'clock. So
Thank you.
change those. Cemetery, I don't have a, this is only for December, month of December, okay? And I don't have any items for cemetery, so I would recommend not to have a cemetery meeting. Water and sewer, we have several people that they're making requests on helping the bills or things like that. So I would recommend to have a water and sewer, that would be December 14th, that's the second Tuesday. Here again, what time? That's the main thing, is the time, make sure everybody, and the water and sewer is Don, Russ, and Raymond.
4 o'clock, we're
Good.
for us.
Good.
Okay, that's what I have for. We'll go on. Judiciary, for judiciary and the fire and order, I would say not to have one. The main reason is because the items that are in front of the judiciary and the fire and order are ordinances. And since we are having some new council come in, new mayor, I would recommend to hold off on this and let them, because you'll probably have, even with council, depending upon who's the president of the council next year, in January, you'll get new committees, or you might get, well, some of them will be new because you'll have new members. I'd recommend to let them have the final shot of what was being talked about, and then let those new committee members pass it to the council then. That's the only reason on that, not that I'm afraid to go in, but since it's so close to the new parts, and probably most likely new members, on it. I mean, it might be moved around, adjusted, something, maybe not, I don't know, whoever the city council president is, it's up to them as long as the council approves. That's the reason, no judicial, no fire and order. Okay, so everybody, the new ones, the new members can have a shot at fixing it. Health and welfare, I don't have any, we just had it last month, and we'll have minutes. I don't have anything else to be put on health and welfare. City Hall, I'd say yes, because we have an item, we're hoping to get some data. Mr. Hazelbaker is working to get the final, I've talked to the insurance, not insurance, the MMIA. They're hoping to have a recommendation or what they are proposing, so then I can present that to the City Hall to have the council consider whatever comes up. And that's for the City Hall. And I think there's one other thing we'll add, I don't remember what it was.
How about the tablets?
And I can put that on there to be voted on, so let me add tablets too.
Right now, my tablet will give me all my emails up to April 21st.
Okay, now we need new ones, they're too old for that.
We're gonna find better ones than we had last time.
Well, that would be the City Hall can say, okay, are they better or not?
I don't know.
You know, I put into the budget, I quoted a middle range Surface, Microsoft Surface. So those are gonna, it's more like a PC, but it's one that,
Well, that's what I was
and so,
thinking about.
and that's what I budgeted for, that's in the budget for you guys.
Cause them little tablets we had last time was.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's why, I mean, this is costing a little more money than we spent, but this will do a lot more too.
If you use them, it'll be worth it. I gave mine back about 2 years ago, I got it because I couldn't get it to do nothing.
And I should have
Yeah.
put mine's
Mine's
back.
Okay, but this is not that
So
we're,
anyway,
not that we're talking about or showing anybody out there that we're talking on that. But we'll have that also on the agenda. I have it for the 16th, which is the third Thursday of December. And it was originally, it's scheduled for Fork and City Hall. Raymond, Dan, and John make 4 on Thursday, third Thursday. Okay, that's a good number then too. And I already talked about fire and work finance. That will be December 30th at 3 for all of you. That was asked as a question.
That's fine with me.
Didn't know what your tumbling program was, so.
Vacation.
Okay,
All right.
3 o'clock is fine.
Okay, we'll just leave that there then. And then parks, again, I think we had an ordinance on there. Most of the other stuff I think is covered, or at least it can wait until next month. So we just no parks. Okay, so as long as everybody agrees to that, I'm done talking. I'll get all those scheduled for us this year. And now we're into public comment on items of significant public interest not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the city.
Yeah, Tim Stoker is on.
That's right.
If the yellow light's on top,
Hold the
it's
button.
on.
Hold it, Tim.
We're good now. I'm actually here today representing the Beaver Pride, subdivision Beaver Pride Properties. And one thing that's, as you can see in our minutes, that's been coming up quite a bit from the planning board is the topic of parks. And since the start of the project, we went through kind of, looking to the future as to what would be the best use of some property. And at the time, in the preliminary plat, we had kind of a rough drawing of what we wanted to do. And as a result of discussions with the city, not wanting to continue with those parks due to the maintenance costs and the upkeep of those parks, we haven't done those. And I guess what I'm hoping to have done, and get it done sooner than later, is have, if they want to amend, whatever they want to amend to that preliminary plat, I want to be done with it. I don't want to be talking about parks anymore. I don't want to be hearing about parks. So if the city wants something to be done with the parks, let me know what they want done, and then I want to be done with it. So I guess that's what I would ask. The next park meeting, I guess that's what you would do. That's where you discuss the budget, I guess. I don't know, whatever. I just need to know, or the planning board, wherever you want it to go. If we're going to amend it, let's get it amended and I just want to be done with the parks.
Now, what I would probably recommend, not necessarily parks, not to pick on parks, okay? But that really is an item, if you're talking about amending your, yeah, it should be planning, is where I would say you go. And have the planning come back to the council with a recommendation what to do. Because that would be a change, the planning board then recommended to the council, they voted on that preliminary plat.
Sure.
And the only way I think it could be changed lawfully is to go back to the planning board, they come back with a recommendation if you want to change the parks. I'm not saying that we might be against it.
The land itself will stay. I mean, it's already been dedicated to the city. I'm just talking about what they want
Right.
to be planted, whatever it is, to the finishing of the parks, because there's a lot of maintenance, as everybody knows,
Right.
when it comes to parks. So I guess all I'm saying is I want to be done with it. And we put the bike path in the full length. We went ahead and did that. So that's in and done. But what I want to know is that whatever they tell me is on record, and it's not just behind
You're not
closed
trying to
doors.
change the dedication of the park, you're just trying to find out what kind of
Finish.
equipment you want on the park.
Yeah,
Well, that might be
So that
different.
would be-
Yeah, that might not have to be.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the finishing of the park. I mean, that's all I'm
You're
getting.
not changing any of the area
No,
or
because
anything.
planning board approved the trail, which was part of the park
Yeah.
dedication. The percentage of that, I believe, was a third.
Mhm.
And then it went into a swell/sitting area with benches that was at the end of the walking trail, which gave the allocation for a park-like dedication allotment
Mhm.
back in the day.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, I want it to be what you want. Let's get it done. If it was over, if we, in the preliminary plat, had said we would do something, when I say we, the city and I, had agreed to do something. If the city doesn't want grass, because that is a lot of maintenance, whatever it needs to be, I want it in writing, I want it on, public record, and then we can be done with it. So, I've just done what the city's asked me to do the whole time, and that was not do the park. So, or finish the actual, the greenery, we'll call it. So, so I guess that would be my only thing, I guess it goes to the planning board, is that what you're saying?
Well, I was originally, but now I'm not sure. Nothing's changing like in size of that.
No, planning board simply
It might
approved
be parks.
the trail with potential benches, and then a water retention, aka well, in the far left-hand corner for water runoff. The trail itself, more or less composed of AKA the park dedication.
And I think there's some confusion, because there's some diagrams in there as to what it was gonna look like, is, the engineer draws up their little stuff. So all I'm getting at is I just wanted to be clear what we're gonna do, and so if it goes to planning, great. If it needs to go to the park, in the end, the city's the one that has to pay for it.
Right.
The maintenance, that's the biggest expense.
Right.
I just wanna be done. I mean, well, the biggest expense is the pavement, but that's already done. So I just, at this point, I just want it to be clear, whatever we need to do, I want that done. Obviously, we're going to phase 2, but I'm just talking, let's get the whole thing done.
Mr. Mayor, that was one of the classes that I took at the Montana League of Cities and Towns conference last month, was sustainable parks. And Mr. Stoker has that's a great subdivision over there, and with great views and vistas, and a lot could be done in a very self-sustaining park that would have the benches and stuff for the people on the walking trail. And the Parks Committee, I don't know that I'll be part of the Parks Committee next year, but I'm sure whoever's on the Parks Committee would be happy to put some designs together that would be workable for both the city and the developer. I mean, that's what we want to do.
Sooner, or is next month okay?
Well, I
For
mean,
the parks thing?
I just want, obviously, we're going to phase 2, and I just want that to be coming up, because if you read the minutes, that's one of the,
Right.
one of the main talking points. And all I'm saying is, the whole time I've been doing exactly what the city asked me to do,
Right.
and that's not do that. So whatever we get out of it, I just want it to be done, and I don't want to hear about parks anymore.
Well, this committee accepted, or whoever's on the Parks Committee next month, they have the meeting to consider what to do.
There isn't
A
any.
little
I'm
short,
out.
but
John's mayor and Mary Jo's by
So
herself.
whoever's on there, I'm not saying have it this month, I'm saying.
at the planning board, we did talk about cash in lieu of parks. Is that something you could
Now, if you're gonna do cash in lieu, that's planning board. Okay, to change it that
Yeah, we're not
direction.
changing the land
No,
is the
the
same.
original allocation of cash and lieu,
Yeah.
park line dedication was a connector from trail to trail. The width of that park, the length of that park compensates as your park dedication.
And that wasn't our request, that wasn't as a result of what we wanted.
Correct.
That
That
was
was the
what was-
planning board at the time when I served
Mhm.
on it, yes.
Yep. So, like I said, we got the bike path in, it's in, I'm just done hearing about the park, is what I'm saying. So, if we can have just get some clarification, then be done with it. So, that's all I'd like.
Perhaps we could do a joint meeting, planning parks, and hammer something out to
Yeah, sounds good.
really
Works
get
for me.
a number.
Okay. That'll be up to John to put it on next year's. I'm not trying to make your life miserable.
Giving you a head start.
Yes.
And is there any other public comment?
Oh, yes. Mr. Mayor, this is my book, and there isn't anything in this broken book that is up to date. And I think that I understand what the goal was, and I think it was a valid goal, but we're not
We
gonna
did
make it.
Yeah, we
We're
did
not-
make it.
But we're close.
Yeah.
But I think that it behooves all of us to start with
We'll get everything
accurate
updated.
information and in a book that fits it, so that when you take out pages to copy them, the whole book doesn't fall apart. And then if we had both parts of it stay on there, that would be good, without a rubber band.
Gorilla tape.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
have to
that
work
and the
on
other
that.
parts, I mean, there's a whole bunch of this. I've tried to keep this book up to date, but it's just darn close to impossible. Because you just can't fit anything more in this book.
Tell them everybody should come in at the next meeting, bring the books with you if you guys want, and do it. I can't promise I will have all the copies made then, but you'll leave your book, and by the time everybody takes your next term, that also gets some books from people that aren't coming back. And we'll replace all of them with the new updated, the ones that's been worked on. The ones that we haven't really seen yet and passed, those will stay the way it is.
Thank
When,
you.
when you say next meeting, you mean the 15th,
Bring it, yeah, the
not
15th.
Tuesdays.
No, not special one, the 15th, sorry.
But the quicker we get these books in, the quicker we'll get the new books back, right?
Yeah, if you lose yours tonight.
Yeah,
Well, I
I'll
still
leave
gotta
mine
make it.
tonight.
We're gonna be stressing our copy machine a lot here. That's why I can't promise that we'll have it, it'll be ready by the first of next year. When everybody takes office and picks their books up, before that, right before the first of the year, they'll be done. I just can't promise it'll be done by the 15th. We don't have a speedy copier that'll chunk it out, ours goes, chunk, chunk, instead of
Would it be possible to use flash drives?
Now we gotta get it in the book too. And we could put it on, you don't even need flash drives. I've kept up, I hope, what I think I have on the webpage. It's all up to date. Anything that was changed has been changed on the webpage. It just hasn't been changed in our books.
That's what I use, I would go to the webpage.
Well, there's a couple things in Title 17 though that haven't been changed.
No, I think they've changed everything that's been through the whole system and passed. There might be some things that they voted on, but they're waiting to present it to the city council at a certain time. Instead of just one little change.
Our book is
Evolving.
evolving,
Yeah.
but I think the website should be up to date.
It's up to the 8th till the latest.
Right.
I've looked at that, I believe that's correct.
It don't match with our.
Plus, we printed out the zoning code for the zoning and planning boards, so they should have an updated. And the book will be updated with them then.
I don't know, the looks of that book, George, are
We gotta
you sure
work
you
on
want to
that.
be sitting next to him?
There's not a live mouse left in the house.
We'll work on the book and try to fix it for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there any other public comment?
Seeing none, I'll move for adjournment.
Second. It's been moved by Don, seconded by Bill. No discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Meeting adjourned.